without even being there.
Is there any Jordanian in the room?
Thank you.
Muhammad, you came to the US speaking zero English.
I think it was less than zero.
How did that affect you, and how did you manage to adapt?
Well, what happened is when we left Syria, I was about, I would say, 3 years old. We went to Lebanon.
Guys, where are you?
Thank you, Syria. Thank you, Lebanon, for having us. We are truly very grateful to have us as refugees, and you treated us well. So my father...
We're both families.
Yeah, thank you. So my father, when he arrived, when my uncle found us in the refugee camp, he also found my father in a refugee camp in Egypt, and we reunited when I was about a year, I would say year and 1 month old, a year later. Immediately he got a job at the University of Damascus. I think it was as a professor. He was a Oxford graduate by correspondence. I think that's how they had it. So he got a job immediately, and then he was inducted into the. I think the Voice of America came into town, and they needed a translator, a broadcaster, and so on and so forth. So he got a job there, and 3 years later he got a job in Beirut, for the same firm, which is USIA at the time. And then we went to Tunis a few years later. And we loved Tunis. I truly thought Tunis was Paris, because it was so ahead of its time. It was so liberal, and it was beautiful. It still is, yes. It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And so that's when we got our passports in Tunis, as you know. So I learned French there. So I had my Arabic, half French. So my mother sent me back.
You don't have half Arabic. You have a very well Arabic.
My Arabic.
I mean, he speaks so good, but he doesn't want to admit. He's shy to admit.
I'll admit it later. So my mother sent me back to my aunt in Idlib. I was 10 years old. She sent me with a little bag, traveled by myself on the first flight of United Arab Airline at the time, when Tunis, Syria, and Egypt got united for a bit of time until they decided what doesn't work. So anyway, I flew by myself in this airplane with my mother. She gave me a thermos which has several layers of food, and I remember that the thermos.
Thermos is what you eat.
No, thermos. What's the other one?
Thermos. Thermos. A thermos. It's okay, Dad.
That's fine.
When he said it right.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you some Arabic.
Yeah.
Thanks for your help. So the stewardesses were eating my food. So anyway, I went to go through several stops and ended up in Damascus, and then I took a bus all the way to Idlib. And I was with a piece of paper asking where my aunt is, or her husband was Sami al-Khouri, who was a ustaz at that time. So I got there, and that's how I learned Arabic in Idlib for 3.5 years. Then back to Tunis, and then from there we immigrated to the US.
Mohammed, when I first contacted you to come here and share your experience with us, you told me this is going to be the first time where you enter a school from the front door.
Yes.
How did you get your education?
Well,
I'm so curious about
actually,
that.
I did, the front door probably I went to a high school in Washington, D.C. Not exactly Washington. It was
Virginia.
Northern Virginia.
Virginia.
So in high school, after 1 week, they at the history class they gave me a pop quiz. They said, and I'm looking at this thing, I'm going, are you kidding me? But in Arabic, I said that. I had no idea what a pop quiz is. I've never seen an English book before. And even though my father was an English professor, but he had 8 kids to feed and so on, I don't think he had the time to do that. Even though my sisters already have left when she was 16, and they sent her to school in the U.S. to Miami University of Ohio. So, so I had a bit of difficulty adapting with half French, half Arabic, and now the English language came very, very in this. But I was mostly interested in art, so I think that's how I expressed myself, mostly art. I didn't, because at one time my dad asked me, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be an artist. He said, well, son, art might not get you where you want, as it's not exactly a stable kind of business you want to be into. I said, he said, you should be an engineer. I think everybody wants to be an engineer or a doctor. He said, engineer. He said, why don't you hang out with the artist and be an engineer?
But you became a great artist too.
I can't say I'm a great artist. I'm just a painter. I can paint pretty much anything.
Mohammed, do you think that formal education is a must for success?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I never really thought I can get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to have an education. I want something that, because that's my, again, it's something that our family embedded in us. You got to have an education. That's your backbone. So I wanted an education, but I didn't care about a degree of any kind. I just wanted to paint, and I wanted to create whatever I wanted to create without having thought to have a degree of any kind. So I did study. When I was in high school, I wanted to go to college because my father said you need to go to college. Unfortunately, it was very hard for me to get to college. My English was pretty bad. I had maybe 4 A's in science, math, and a few other things that or basket waving.
Basket weaving.
Yes, but as far as history, anything had to read English. Probably had between a incomplete, an F, a C minus. So
it's good you made it.
So, but I applied for a couple of schools. I was not accepted to any. So the year on junior year and senior year, I was playing soccer, and one of the football players got injured. So they asked me if I would come and kick football soccer style. Apparently, I was very good at it. I don't know how. I never played football in my life, but all I know is that I'm going to be cooking football soccer style. So and we won several games, and by accident, somebody saw me and they gave me a scholarship to Duke University. Even though with I think they did. I believe they kind of changed my grades a little bit. How did you do it?
He's coming clean now.
They didn't do it. They did it.
And my father did not pay for anything. So I ended up at Duke University first semester. I kicked a few
footballs
games, and I won a couple of games. They were happy with me. And then suddenly, I came back to the bench, And the coach said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I just kicked the football." He said, "I'm sorry, you can't. You just have to stay there." Remember, I was about 120 pounds. And I said, "But this is suicidal. You see these guys from Salem, North Carolina, they are like 6'8" with 500 pounds. I would die." I saw them coming toward me. They had almost like a cloud and dust and things. I said, "I'm sorry, this will be the last time." He said, "Well, it will be the last time. This will be last semester." So pretty much they threw me off the team and off the school. So
What did you do?
what I do? Well, when you are a refugee, you improvise, trying to figure out ways to get there. So I really thought at the time everybody had to go through that process. I didn't know I was, one of the few. Like this guy right there, my partner, he did very well on his own. So anyways, I got out of school, I started looking at the Raleigh-Durham newspaper, and I see a little ad says, "White students needed." So I said, "White students needed?" I think I'm kind of white. So I just called, and I hear on the other side of the phone, and it's someone with a very heavy English accent, Cockney, kind of white, very white. So I said, "I'm looking for Mr. Cheston Everett, who was at the time this gentleman I was telling you about." So he said, "What's your name, son?" I said, "I'm Muhammad Hadid." He said, "You're not white." I said, "I am." I said, "Well, I'm not really white. I am kind of. I have white skin, I have blue eyes. At the time, I had like long blondish hair. I'm sure." He said, "You don't sound like a white man." I said, "Okay, this is all." I thought, this guy is telling me what I look like. Anyways, I'm coming to see you. So I drive to Raleigh, North Carolina, looking for this school. And the name of the school is Shaw University. Shaw University was a very black segregated school. So I was driving around looking for this school, and I couldn't find it. There was barbed wire around, and I'm going, "This is crazy." And so I found the fire department. The fire department said, "Well, Shaw University right there." I thought this is a prison. But I walked in and I went to the class, not class, but an office, and I said, "I'm looking for Cheston Everett." I was looking for some white guy, and he was looking for a black guy. So I walked in, he was black and I was white. And he was shocked to see me. Anyway, they gave me a scholarship. He said, "You can come take one class here in Shaw University." I still carry my Shaw University card into today, because that's what took me pretty much through my life as an education. They gave me a scholarship at NC State. They gave me a scholarship at Duke University. at MIT. And then I ran out last 2 semesters. I didn't want to pay my tuition. So that's how I always got from the back door. Shaw University, Duke University, Shaw University, and MIT. And now I came here from the front door.
Mohammed, what was the first step in your career path, and how did you deal with all the challenges that you faced in your career?
I don't think I had any. I can't believe I had any challenges. It just seemed like.
It was so easy, huh?
No, it wasn't easy. It was like sometimes you go places and you just you find the right time, the right place to jump in. You need to have your eyes open, waiting for that moment that you can jump into it.
That means whenever the opportunities come to you, you grab them, right?
I did, yes. So, but my biggest passion is always art, Now I see myself and my son who was doing exactly what I have done. Eventually you find your way and you get there. So I'm proud of my son and
What are your favorite projects to date? I know you have like a very special project to your heart.
Well, I have
tell us more about it.
Five.
Well, thank God I had the opportunity to build a lot of projects around the world, including one that I really love. It's a little mosque in Virginia that I did around Falls Church. It was a small, it started as a small school with a little jama in it, and it's Darul Hijra. So that's because I named it after my father, and as Allah yarhamu, he's there. And but there's other projects that I've done in the Arab world earlier, which is I don't think I got credit for it, but I did it. It's Doha Sheraton in Qatar. And Qatar is here. Thank you for having me.
He's thinking everybody.
So yeah, and now you have the skyline that you're building with Hassan and
yes.
Mr. Mohammed Murshidi,
That's
right?
correct, yes. They allowed me. Also, I was honored for them to ask me to be a part of that amazing project that they're doing. We are all doing together. Hadid. This is the hard work of the Murshidi group, who I love. We have done a couple of the projects prior to that, and this particular project that we're doing together is just got the Guinness Book of World Records to be the largest single mixed-use project in the world.
Woo!
Is it important to you to build in the Arab world?
Yes, very much so. And I have a dream to one day build something in my homeland, Palestine. We are doing a project right now as well. We hopefully that will collaborate, which pretty much everything I'm going to do, I'll be doing with these. Thank God they're here. And we're doing Project Casablanca in Morocco.
Mohammed, you were just saying that you would love to build in Palestine. How do you answer people who say that you don't fight for your people or that you're not being Arab enough? I'm sure you've heard a lot of
I hear a lot of these things. I hear a lot of things. I hear a lot of things about my kids as well. We don't do things to get credits for them. We just do them. And if it's not I do a lot of. Hopefully, I do a lot of things for my beloved Palestine. And one of the things I do is to keep the name Palestine alive by having my legacies to carry on, that there are Palestinians, there are Arabs, they are the way they are because they have amazing moms. So I was lucky to have two mothers that were wonderful, and they kept both cultures within our kids. So I was very glad to have these two ladies.
And I know that you still have your Palestinians card of identity.
I do. I carry a couple of things all the time. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Oh, yes, let me see if I can find. I have right here, my little identity card when we arrived to Syria.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so small, but I can see it.
And this is actually a card that I'm very, very proud of. It's Shaw University. It's a black university.
Oh.
That's kind of took me from this identity card and took me all over the place, and got me the education I needed. So you can see how I found this I would say by accident, but it's not. I think it's all these things happen to us because there's destiny. It's all written.
Yeah. What is the most precious advice advice given by your father to you, and that you pass it to your kids, and that you hope that your kids gonna pass it to your grandkids?
To be ourselves, to be proud of who we are. My father always told us we are Palestinians, and he never really told us about the exodus from Palestine to Syria, because he wanted us to go forward and move on. But we knew at the time that somehow, somewhere, we will go back to Palestine.
You will always like to visit Palestine one day.
I mean, all these kids will be going to Palestine one day.
How and what did you teach your kids about Palestine and about their roots? I mean, we follow them on social media and we see they are so attached to their roots. They speak up. I mean, you know, they are so proud of being Palestinians. Yours and Anwar. So how did you do that?
I think they have it in them, within them. They know they are Palestinians. They know that it's a rare plant. I'm trying to explain to them that our culture is very rare these days, especially Palestinians are. I'm probably the last of the ones that were actually born in Palestine, the old Palestine. So I try to teach them to keep it alive. They must stay to say Palestinians, and for their kids to say Palestinians, so Palestine will stay alive.
In its latest issue here, I have a copy. I mean, thank you. I was so happy to get this copy. When you braced the cover, Vogue Arabia called you the man with the best genes on the planet. Before you answer, what do you think, guys?
I want to say that I was not. There was other part. I didn't. I had amazing, beautiful wives that gave me 5 children. So I want to give them the credit for it. I'm just.
Of course.
Don't forget the one.
Never.
They'll remind you.
Can't forget.
Some people accuse you for being like so modern, so open-minded in the way you live your life, and even in the way you deal with your kids.
Yeah. Well, my mother and my father. Funny enough, they are religious in their own way, but they're very liberal and progressive. My father, within our family, were culturally Muslims and Arabs, but it wasn't about going to the mosque 5 times a day. They allowed us to do whatever we want. We want to do Ramadan, we want to pray, you want to walk around with the hijab. That's up to us. But they let us pretty much do whatever we want. And I think all my sisters and brothers came out to be all right. And then I took on that idea to my kids. I let them. We give them very strong wings, their moms and I, and we let them land wherever they want. And I think they came out all well.
This is gonna be my last question because I'm gonna let if anyone would like to ask you any question from the audience. You will have to ask him, only him, just for the record. What is your advice to Arabs looking to become successful and to take you as a role model?
Stay focused and stay true to yourself. Keep, if possible, identity is a very important thing. For me, I was very comfortable with my identity, with my name, because the name, I think, that's my, I was very comfortable to say who I am without having to explain who I am. But just the minute you say you are Muhammad Hadid, they know you are an Arab, they know you are Muslim. So that's a immediate introduction. You don't have to go beyond it unless they want to know exactly where you were born or where your family come from. I think the rest is, and whoever has changed their name for one reason or the other, I understood it. Because a lot of times when I was in Washington, D.C., they tried to change my name. I had a very, very beautiful man, friend of mine, who loved me for who I am. But every time he introduced me to his family, trying to change my name. You are Mo, Michael, whatever. He didn't tell me until later that he was embarrassed to introduce me to his parents as a Palestinian Arab and so on. So they had a problem with my identity. I never did. I wanted to be who I am. And I think if everyone does the same thing, then they, and if they want to be to themselves, their name is half of themselves. So just stay focused, and the opportunities will come your way, and catch them.
Thank you so much. So we have 4 questions.
But before I do that, I'm going to introduce to you immediately after my friend.
Yeah, we didn't finish
my
yet.
partner. I know.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that I want.
Yeah, you're going to introduce him.
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't finish yet.
Don't let him go.
No, no one leaves. We didn't finish yet.
Hadid.
Yeah. So we only have space for 4 questions only. Okay, I'll let Anwar choose the first one. You choose him. Well, Anwar, you choose the first one.
Come on. Pick one. Right here. Come on. Yeah, come on. Let's go. Come on. That's it.
There's one.
I'm bad at that.
So
No, there's one because I saw him. He said, I want to have the first question. I'm going to let him know.
Oh, wait.
Pick someone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm really nervous right now, even though...
Where are you?
Are you looking for my stuff?
It's right here.
Daddy. Right here. Dad.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Yes. Stand up.
She's right here.
You not see? Okay. Shout out to Anwar for choosing me. Thank you very much. My name is Isra Shakir, and I'm a civil rights activist.
What did you say?
I'm a civil rights activist. Okay, I'm based in Washington, D.C., but I live in Northern Virginia. And I go to the mosque that you built every Friday. And my father-in-law is the executive director of that masjid. So thank you so much, because it's a constant reminder in our community that we have a space that is safe and comfortable. But I also want you to know that now this same mosque actually created a space for refugee assistance and social services. So it's giving back to the community.
Wow! That's so cool! You did me right.
And that brings me to my question. We're living in a time right now where the president of this country, in his rhetoric, has been absolutely vile and cruel towards refugees and immigrants overall. And this is something that I dedicate my life to every day on my social media platform, to break down the stereotypes and the misconceptions, and to make sure that the rhetoric is the right and authentic one of hardworking people who are the most resilient people in the world and deserve to be welcomed into our communities. So my question to you is, you, I think, are one of the, you and your beautiful family, mashallah, are one of the only people that I think on social media with a huge platform that are consistently putting out the right messages about refugees and immigrants. How do you encourage everyone in this room and the youth that are here today to continue to use the right narrative and make sure that we're all actively participating in breaking down the stereotypes and the misconceptions, and make sure we get out and vote in 2020?
That's like
I think there's a forum like this where everyone is proud to be an Arab. It doesn't have to be Muslim or Christian or even some Arab Jews. There is Arab who are proud to be Arabs as well, and I've seen a lot of them, by the way. And they support the Arab cause and other causes. I think this forums like this will impact the future of all of us, that we can empower the Muslims and Arabs to speak out and not to be afraid.
Thank you. So where was the guy who wanted to ask a question?
Where was the guy?
Short, okay,
Yes.
but please, like short questions so we can take more questions. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. So you're done. So, since Ahmad chose one, I'll ask Gigi to choose the second one. And we're gonna take 5 questions because there are 5 kids.
Oh my
Each one of
goodness.
them gonna choose one of you. So
Alrighty.
Gigi,
I just want to go first. It's difficult.
Oh, no. We're proud of you.
in New York,
Just pick.
Just
say you.
All my kids equally successful, equally talented in their own fields. Just because just happened
just because
yesterday.
it happened yesterday.
My daughter Gigi just received the woman power.
Yeah, women power from Quran.
Good job, Jennifer.
And they were very
So
powerful
I mean, we
figures.
are all proud of her.
All right, I'm
Okay,
gonna
pick.
go from the back.
Pick in the back.
With the red scarf on.
The red scarf did it.
Woo!
So my name is Stephanie, and I'm also Palestinian, but my immigrant is Syrian. I just want to say that I'm studying art and design, and I really admire your work. And I really admire your work. It's amazing. And I'm just seeing you as being an artist and like a real estate developer and like doing all these amazing things. It's like just wonderful. But like for me, I am studying like strictly art and design, and it's almost like nerve-wracking because it's like very specific, and you know, like the parent situation where it's like, oh, you're gonna be an artist, you know. So I just want to ask you, because a lot of my inspiration comes from Palestinian heritage and tradition, and like now I'm in fashion design, and I find it hard to show my work to people who don't understand what's happening in Palestine or like don't know the heritage or culture. So how do you create an impact with art as a Palestinian inside of Palestine and outside of Palestine?
Yes. Well, you know, art was never for me, it was, like my father said, be mindless for your work and have fun with your... So what I chose is to have my friends to be artists. So I enjoy the art world, and then the other as something I can make a living out of. You just have to show it as much as possible, trying to explain it to people. I personally have, I never really wanted to stop learning different type of arts because I don't have a specific type. So I can pretty much do a portrait and or modern or whatever. And the reason why I'm constantly learning the process of art, painting. So I never really had it where I'm making money off of it, but I use it for different platform. I do charities. I give it as charities as sold for schools and other things like this. But the answer to you is just show it as much as possible. Somebody will pick up your style and then they'll take it further.
Okay, guys, please stick to short questions, no introductions. Please, Alana, can you choose?
Oh my! I don't have a question.
Your fellow ladies
All the way in the back.
Yes.
Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to be here. I think I can stay for a week.
It's going to be here a week of questions.
And my boy,
And Anwar. Just the ladies.
So thank you very much for joining us. My name is Amali Nasruddin. I'm from Lebanon, and I realized last year you went to Lebanon also and were showing it all over social media, and I thought that was so great that you would shed such a positive light on Lebanon, something that we forget as Lebanese to do. So thank you very much. You talk about many things that led to your success and some things that are destined. If there was something that you can change when you were in your 20s, what would it be? Thank you.
nothing. Short answer, really, I feel like I'm blessed. I went through life. I thought everything was simple and easy because I thought everybody went through that. So I don't think there was any difficulties, and so I don't think I'll have to change anything.
Bella, your turn.
Bella. This one. Oh, Bella. Everybody. It's right there.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, for all the people that are in here,
What's your name?
Ibrahim. I was just wondering, for all the people that are in here that are too foreign to go back home and too foreign to stay in this country, what is your best advice for them to embrace their identity?
Embrace their identity, you said?
To embrace it. To be proud.
Well, I never really had a problem with my identity, and I think some people do. It's a perception. I think you are who you are, and if you are, just be comfortable with being. If you are an Arab, a Palestinian, or a Syrian, or Lebanese, or Libyan, or just stick to that, because that's your culture, your heritage, and that's what you bring into this world is something different than all the other people around the U.S. They want to meet new people that they can learn from. If you can teach them, then you're adding something.
So the last question, Maria. Red color winning.
Red wins.
Yeah, you.
Okay, I'm loud, so... I know you said no distractions, so you don't shut up. My name is Wasim. I'm a freshman at the college.
Wasim?
Wasim.
Woohoo!
I have a yes.
Yes. We have a cousin.
At college, and at Harvard College, and for those of you who don't know, this past week has been Israeli Apartheid Week at the college. said, for those who didn't know, the past week at Harvard College has been Israeli Apartheid Week, where we bring awareness to the issues surrounding Palestinians living in the West Bank and around Israel, or Palestine. So as expected, we were met with a lot of opposition from the school. We had to fight for funding. We had to sort of fight against narratives being pushed by the other side that we were endorsing terrorism, that we were endorsing sort of murder. And so my question for you is, as a real estate developer, as all of these roles that you've had in your life, not real estate developer, as all these roles that you've had in your life, how have you reconciled working with people who don't necessarily recognize your existence, who don't recognize your identity as a Palestinian?
That's a great question. You know, the way I dealt with that, I never really thought of it as an obstacle, because most of when I was in Washington D.C. and pursuing my development career, I looked at it that I need to do something completely different. I had to have a niche in the market. I cannot be the same. I have to work harder. I have to be a little bit more creative to move away. Once they know that you have that platform, you are that good, they will leave you alone. So you just have to accept.
Mohammed Hadid, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your success story. Maria.